finally got the systems going out. The videos coming out correctly. It's pointing down the river as it should be. So as it turns out, if you have a mixture of direction lock and not direction lock videos, if you select, I was under the assumption that if you select direction lock, it was only going to export the three videos with direction lock. No, it actually applies direction lock to all videos, even if you only have one that was selected. Ironically enough, if you have no video selected to direction lock, it knows to not apply direction lock. But if you have even one video selected for direction lock, and you select direction lock during export, I don't know why, but it applies to all the videos. As you can see, a non-direction lock video, when compared to my what do you call it, is much better for the Saco River. This is an actual export. I did one more test to make sure that I wasn't hopeless. And so, another thing, number two, anything to do with keyframes, anything at all, will not export from Insta360, unfortunately. That means I can't do any YouTube videos with Tiny Big Planet unless I just do one individual file. Who knows? You know, I could do a Tiny Big Planet thing where I export one individual file and upload it to YouTube. But even then, I think I have to share it from the studio. But anything requiring a keyframe like Tiny Big Planet doesn't come out. I actually know from my corn video that, and if you look at the corn video, it does look down at my helmet at one point. That was actually me in the Power Director Studio, not in the what do you call it? So I do have to delay the videos one more time. I am gonna make them tomorrow though. Like you did that. I don't know if you just heard that ta-da, ta-da sound. That was another file export. I'm gonna go to bed, but I at least know something's are coming out. So number three, you might have actually noticed that the color looks a little nicer. It doesn't look as dull. Ironically enough, there is something called Color Plus in here that I thought, well, I am someone who likes dynamic mode on the TV, and I'm just going to say it. The Color Plus, that one will come out individually, just like the text. You can export text. Any text that I put in here, you can export. Just nothing using a keyframe. Really, I can't use anything that requires a keyframe, because the keyframes will not export the effects. I can use text. I can... Any stitch in that's applied is applied. It will export the Color Plus. Really anything that affects the video itself. Quality, stitch in, it applies. Anything that's like an effect, it doesn't apply. With the exception of, for whatever reason, text. But it's great that I did figure this out now. See, the problem is if you know, all of my ski videos have been like a direction lock. Every time I do skiing, I do a direction lock video. I export it with direction lock on. I do think it's a little unfortunate that you can't just apply direction lock, to to certain clips. I mean, you can, but I'm not going to bother with those three clips. There were three clips that I actually applied direction lock to. I could go back and apply direction lock to them, but really only one of them honestly needed it. Two of them I was just toying around with, so I'm not going to go back and bother exporting those three ones that I had direction lock on individually. It's just they're just gonna export like this where they're facing forward at all times. Worst case scenario, I do have the ability to change the way in Power Director, as I now know, change the way that things are facing. So like when I hit this curve up there, I will definitely turn it a little bit so that it's facing in that direction. But I am relieved that even though my initial export failed, I kept the files this time. And when I saw they were wrong, I was like, no, that can't be it. And I was like, where is the direction lock? It turns out that I was selecting a bunch of files that didn't have direction lock on them. But like if I select a mass amount of files and even one of them has direction lock, that's an option. So I know that for the future. That is very important. That if I'm going to be doing a file like this, where even one has direction lock, if I select direction lock, it's going to be applied to all files. That sucks. If there's ever a file that truly needs direction lock, it needs to be exported individually. Or rather, like in this case, had the three files actually needed to have direction lock applied, I should have exported those three individually, then remove them from the export queue, and then exported all the rest that needed to not be direction locked. So that is one big thing. I did, because I kept the files, knowing how much of a toy this has become. This is obviously still with the X2, but I am very relieved I kept the files because I was unlike the ski videos, I was able to essentially save this video. It's like it is now 3:30 a.m. so I am gonna delay this till tomorrow, but so it's not gonna upload overnight. But I am gonna upload it either tomorrow or tomorrow night or tomorrow at work because I've got. I mean, you could see that the video is on its way out. This is one clip. This is the first clip to be exported correctly without direction lock. And as you can see, what that means is the camera always focuses downstream and doesn't follow me, which is the whole point here. And I gotta say, the color correction actually looks really nice. You know, it wasn't noticeable. In fact, I think it might have been a detriment for skiing because I didn't want to look. But with like all these beautiful, I know it may not look it right now, but all these like beautiful trees. Actually, that does look okay. Trust me, they had like a darker look. And as someone who likes the dynamic look, I think really the most beneficial part was actually the stream. It all just looked like a murky, dark brown. But you can actually see the individual colored rocks here with the dynamic color turned on. I think in the case of a consumer camera like this, it was absolutely necessary to turn that dynamic color on. So that actually turned out being a big benefit. So those are two of the things. Stitching wise, I did have to play between the two stitching because it wasn't its waterproof case for a little while, and then I had to switch it to normal. Thankfully, when I imported the files, they actually remembered. I can't believe this, but the files actually remembered what my initial settings were, so they're exporting the same that they were before. They remembered the file name. They remembered each file name's settings. So while I'm not, I could honestly even go back and export the three that had direction lock as direction lock, but those were more playing around files, and I don't think I'm going to do that just because honestly I think they'll look better without direction lock. It was more me playing along. As you may be able to see, we unfortunately did go on a day where the river was running really low compared to last year. So hopefully next year we get it when the rivers run a little higher, a little faster. Still, this was a fun adventure. I'm still working. I'm going to be working on a couple of things. Like one of the big things I noticed was there seemed to be a couple of clips that I don't know. Something happened to the file where they just didn't. They don't have color or something like that. Still, we're talking about 30 minutes out of 2 hours here. 3/4 of the video actually came out pristine looking. It's going to look like this. And really, it came out looking a lot better than I thought it was gonna. So it is gonna be another hour, hour and a half. I am gonna go to bed, let it export. Let's see if I thought I heard the ta-da for another file. Let's see if this is truly working. Oh, it's still only that one file, darn it. Oh no. Now see, it came out as. Let's check it, because that was file 81 done correctly, which was my test. Tell me, this is the batch transport. This is part of the batch transport I did. The other one was an individual where direction lock was not even an option. This had the three files in it where, oh, so now there's less tube in the front. We'll get to even. Okay, so I am gonna have to change the position, but as you can see, by the fact that the tube is turning and the camera's position is not, I am gonna have to change the starting position so that it faces this way, as I was just showing you in the other clip. But it is still, as you can see, yeah, it does still say stay center. I'm just gonna in Power Director have to change the starting position so that it faces forward when we actually get going. That is the same clip. Number 4 is exporting. What about number 3? See, this is ironically enough something that happened. This is one of the 4 clips where, as you can tell, the sky is kind of gray and darker. It lost its color. I couldn't. This is weird. I could have even swore it was from last year. Cause I'm not gonna show here. There's gonna be like a moment where there are 2 different moments of me landing. I honestly think this might be from some leftover from last year. I'm not kidding. Because there were 2 different clips of me landing. Crazy as that sounds, and these ones just don't look as nice. Like there's no blue sky at all in this one. And you can see that you can even on here see the difference. The color from the trees is gone, and even if the sky is grayer, it was still light outside last year, and the trees would still be greener. But this one does seem to have exported with the same thing, where even though, as you can see right now, I'm turning, like you can actually see I don't know if you could tell, but I'm actually moving a little faster in this clip. Last year the river was a little higher and I moved a little faster. But just like this year's clip, even though I'm spinning around like this, the camera is staying facing downstream, as it should. I honestly did not expect it to come out this well. Where like even though I'm spinning around and around and around, you could tell the camera is always facing downstream. So it ultimately, and the other thing is there's not a hard no. Like this year that seaweed you see was up. This is definitely last year's video. I'm convinced now, because that seaweed was actually up top. Like you'll see this. I'm gonna put the clips I have from last year, the like 30 minutes clips I have from last year, up here. They're gonna start the video. Then the other 90 minutes are gonna be from this year. Yeah. Do we have the other clip yet? Oh, not really. Still exporting. Up. Ta-da. Oh, wait. No, we don't want to play that one. That's the one that's exporting right now. This is last year's clip. I didn't actually take a look at this, but based on the height of the water, this is clearly last year's clip because the water is high and moving fast. So this is last year's clip. I thought I lost last year's ski video, but apparently there are actually four clips, 30 minutes worth of video from last year. I'm kind of surprised by that. Um, it makes sense not to color correct to them, I guess. But again, you can tell. Just take a look at the colors here. How do you go? And then take the look at the colors here. Night and day, am I right? That mean and the other one is night and this one's day. Look at how much brighter it is. Less clouds in the sky. I again, this one has color correction applied to it. Yeah, I think these ski videos are going to come out a lot better. A test that I dare say it actually passed. In fact, it's been on me. I've been saying it for a while now that it's been a thing where I have not properly used Insta360 Studio. Now I know. Now I know several important things. Anything using the keyframe, like Tiny Big Planet, or anything like that, any of those special effects that require a keyframe, will not export unless you export the clip individually. Uh, the what was this said? If you do direction lock and you want only direction lock on one clip to export, you have to, unless you want direction lock applied to all clips. If there's even one single, that's what's stupid. If there's even one, that's kind of I'm gonna blame this one thing. I'm gonna blame on the studio. If you click direction lock, they should at least have a direction lock for all clips, or direction lock for the clips that you selected you wanted direction lock on. Of like the 27, it was, in fact, I know it's 27 clips. I selected direction lock for 3 of them. I only wanted direction lock on 3 of them. So I think after these 7 seconds clips, after these 27 clips export successfully without direction lock, I'll go back, I'll look at those 3, I'll see if they actually need direction lock. I think there's definitely one of the 3 that I want to re-export with direction lock, and I'll export it individually. Anyway, between the color correction and the as I've shown, let you seen between it all, I mean, it just definitely gonna have to play around with it. There's definitely some editing to do. The mic did a much better job than I thought, which meant it unfortunately did pick up a lot of music that I'm gonna have to mute. There are definitely some cuts to make, but this honestly came out, all things considered, better. Oh look, we have one more new clip to try. I like. What do you say we round this off at 20 minutes? Let's take a look at the newest clip, which was clip 9. Still clip 10's going up. Oh yeah, this is the last clip from last year. You can see, I can tell because it's coming in. Like this one clip here, if you skip to the end, oh no, the next one is me coming in. But like, I could tell that this isn't from this year because there's no red tent over there playing music. This year there was a red tent over here playing music that I'm gonna have to mute. Yeah, and I didn't cut it there. This year I kept going until I reached this point, and I made a couple of clips before going in. And when I go in, which is the next clip, there's no one there, and this year there was someone there getting out. I don't know what happened last year. I believe I even have a video about me deleting last year's summer videos. Apparently, they were on the. I don't have it right now. Apparently, there were a couple of clips. There were four videos from last year, 30 minutes worth of the Saco River that were not deleted. That are ironically enough gonna be coming up on this, and you could tell that they're duller. Um, I don't know what it was. Something about last year's videos. Even something when I tried to color correct them, they looked even worse. I'm honestly shocked that I was able to get these to export without direction lock. So I'm gonna apologize in advance for the first 30 minutes of the video. I just think you should see the last year's 30 minutes video. Just I think they should be in there because these are there. It's not the full thing, but it's 30 minutes from the video we lost that I lost last year. 30 minutes from the lost summer video last year. It is exported. If nothing else, it exported without direction lock on. It's good. It's good fun. And then, as I said, 90 the after the first 30 minutes of last year's videos, there's 90 minutes of beautiful videos this year. The sun's out. They've got color correction. I'm gonna be editing all 2 hours as well. Seriously. And I'm moving it around. And I realize that right now, looking at this, I understand that right now I'm just playing this in media player to show like direction lock is off. Like what I'll probably do, I'll probably do is like I'll switch it around. I'll switch where the direction lock is. You keep invading my space. I am definitely like getting like a head strap. I have a whole bunch of new gear. I'm definitely gonna wear a gear next year so that my I don't get in the way. uh I'm gonna reshoot this next year so that I don't get in the way. I have to say though, I have to compliment myself on one thing. I'm finally getting used to the Insta360 Studio. I've figured out how to export. I know now that if you want to do a mix of direction lock and not direction lock, you have to export the videos that are not direction lock first in a big batch, and then you have to export the direction lock videos in a separate direction lock batch. The color correction is actually really good on the newer versions. The Insta360 Studio, I've actually got it to run calibrated correctly on my computer, so that stress is gone. That stress is gone. Power Director, I've learned how to use it when I do direction lock. And with a new 18 gigabyte hard drive, my plan is to now always, always keep the files. Always keep the files, the Insta360 files, especially, when shockingly enough, that if you export the video and it comes out wrong, if you reopen the Insta360 files, shock of all shocks, they actually remember their settings until the Insta360 video files are actually deleted completely from the computer. If you reopen the Insta360 files, they'll actually remember the settings I gave them. That's kind of mind blowing that I didn't have to change. I was like, okay, here we go again. I need to go through the settings again so that everything is fine. And it's kind of mind blowing that it actually remembered the settings. Oh, okay. It does say that the oh yeah, but the 81 was the first one I exported. These 0, 3, 4, and 9. And if you're wondering where are 6, 7, and 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8, uh, they are all they are all actually lost. I'm surprised I found 3, 4, 9, and there's one more. It's either 10 or 11. I found 4 clips from last season that are going to start, as I said, 4 clips. Oh, yeah. Like you can actually see it is 10. And then after 10, it skips to 53. I always wondered what that was. It's like, here's 10. I don't think I can do it while it's exporting. Yeah, it's not gonna let me do it while it's exporting. But like, what's playing right here? This is 85. If you just look at the files, you tell me which one looks prettier. 53 versus 10. It's a no-brainer. You know, Insta360 Studio has been pain in the butt. I've been bragging about finally getting used to it, and I just want to end this video by showing you the different options. Okay, flow state stabilization, that works. Direction lock. If you apply direction lock, make sure to export. Like in this case, we'll use this case as an example. I should have exported the 3 direction locks. In this case, the direction lock wasn't really needed, so I just exported them all without direction lock. But if there are ever cases where direction lock is needed, in addition to non-direction lock pieces, if you apply direction lock, like in this case, let's say those 3 direction locks were needed. I should have exported the 3 direction lock clips individually, removed them from the export queue, and then exported the rest without direction lock. In fact, if I exported the 3 direction lock clips that had direction lock applied, direction lock wouldn't have even been an option for the other ones. And I just need to remember, it's very important that if even one clip has direction lock and I select to export with direction lock, it's going to apply that to all. Here we go. Um, if it's in its dive case above water. If it's not in its dive case, normal. Underwater really doesn't work well. The other ones don't work well. If it's in its case, dynamic stitching. If it's not in the dive case, or if, like in this case, it is only in the bottom of the dive case, if the lens are not in the dive case, optical flow stitching. Chromatic calibration, that varies. Dynamic, and if it is in the protective case, dynamic stitching. Chromatic calibration is usually, from my experience, it is necessary. It should be turned on for dynamic when you have dynamic stitching, because you can only select one of those two. It should be turned on for dynamic stitching and turned off for optical flow stitching. So remember, in case, dive case above water, dynamic stitching, chromatic calibration on. When it's not in the case, when it's exposed, normal, optical flow stitching on, chromatic calibration. I'm still toying around with that, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to stay off. In here, double check, but I'm pretty sure that you should have true audio always off. I haven't seen one single place where I want to use it. Aqua vision, that kind of blurs everything out. Maybe it's good underwater. I don't know. Color Plus, it's basically the equivalent of their dynamic as opposed to their standard. I do like dynamic, and I think it does help the video. Um, the camera's not really catching it, but trust me, it looks nice. So Color Plus on. Maybe, maybe it will be better to not have Color Plus on in the white winters, but in the case of the summer videos where everything is very colorful, Color Plus on. I'll have to retry it. I'll have to do that again. Logo, anything here that will export, as I found out. Nothing there. Info there. Now the important thing, so anything over in this area, anything at all, will export. There's just that one direction lock trick to find out for. Like you can actually see I've actually got a keyframe set here. Like you can set like a tiny big planet. It doesn't matter. Even if I say this, that would have to be an individually exported file in order for that little big planet to apply. Because it required a keyframe that is for the studio, anything requiring a keyframe will not apply to an export. Proof? The proof is that this keyframe is still here for 85. Look at that, little big planet. Very clearly, little big planet. We go here. The one that just exported should actually be the 85. Oh no, it's not. It's going backwards. But the point is when the 85 shows up here, it won't have little big planet on it. It doesn't export. As I found out in the corn clips, because there was one case where I used the little big planet, it doesn't apply. So anything using keyframes doesn't apply. And I get it. This is not like my other shorts. But this is important info for me. So remember, anything over here, anything that uses a keyframe, any effect using a keyframe, any of this in here will not take effect when you export it. Direction lock. It's fine. But if you're going to use direction lock, if you're going to use direction lock on all clips, great. Use direction lock on all clips and export direction lock all clips. If you don't want direction lock on any clips, don't even bother. It won't show up as an option. But if you apply direction lock to even one clip, it's going to be an option and it's going to apply it to all clips that export. So like in this case, say I wish to go back, you apply direction lock to just export those clips individually. Any clip with direction lock has to be exported individually. Flow state stabilization, that always comes out fine in my experience. These options always come out fine. Above water, that gets dynamic stitching. Normal gets optical flow stitching, chromatic calibration. Again, that's something I still have to toy around with. Color Plus, yes. I don't know about skiing, but yes for summer for sure. When there is color. True Audio, don't apply anything there. Logo, I can absolutely apply this. This will actually come out. And don't bother about project management and file properties. So really, I am finally figuring this out. And as you can see, the fact that I can actually click stuff around here, it's actually that's really the biggest win for me, is that I put some time in and found a way to run this in like a mode that was the 2022 came with like a mode that's compatible with Windows 10 with 4K and allowed calibration. That's still got quite some ways to go. As I said, I'm going to bed, but it looks like we did get one more. That's 54. Let's see how that one looked. Oh no, 53, sorry. 54 is the one that's coming out right now. In fact, we should actually recycle that because that's just going to be another copy. Oh, it's because it's not on the pad. Really slow river. It looks like the same one I showed you already. So then which one was exported? Oh, it was 10. It was the last one from last year. So, like you'll see. I just want to show the land in this one is different. The land-in area is completely clear when I go in. That's how I know that this is you. Additionally, look, there's a couple of inches of water there. It's not sunny, it's not bright, it's not colorful. Also, don't think I was as much shaven as much. In fact, that's actually a sure for way to know. There's a little unshaven there. I didn't think about this, but that's a surefire way to know. Compare my shave there to my shave here. Yep. Shave. I'm better shaving here. It's a cleaner shave this day. So they are definitely 100% two individual days. Still not a perfectly clean shave, but right. So I am 100% sure now that those first four clips you'll see the first 30 minutes will be from last year. Huh. Imagine that. And the 90 minutes after that will be from this year. Looks like you get to see 30 minutes of last year's ski video after all. Summer video, I mean. Well, I'm gonna let it do its job. Oh, what did I do? No. Oh, is that the recycle bin? I'll find out if this says 28 items then. Yeah, it is. So you have to delete those because those are not the files that are being exported right now. Okay, one more. Sorry, I know I know I've run this video kind of long, but I'm just so glad I've figured everything out. Oh no, wait, that's gonna be the one that's exported right now, isn't it? No. Which one's exported right now then? 10, 53. It is 54 that exported. Yeah, so I don't know why it's showing a file size, but it's 54 that just exported. Beautiful. See, isn't that water so much? Again, compare that water with the color correction on. I just disturbed it with my. I don't. Oh, I can't look. But compare that water. I know. Let's just go back to the start of the clip before I did my final in there. Compare that water with this water. Granted, it was a little deeper then. So let's try 3 then. Yeah. Again, it also was deeper that last year. I'm trying to keep up with it. No, what? Pause. Pause. Yeah, I'm running long now. I said 30 minutes, but I just want to assure you that tomorrow. Oh, that was done fast. What was that? One of the shorter clips? Come on. I want to see what that was. Oh, 56 was deleted. I did make some early cuts, like deleting ones that were no good. Oh, this is going to be one of the ones with people who are playing music, isn't it? Actually, even if you look here, this is an example of the deep where just like the clip I just showed you, it was dark and everything. This is an example of a deep where there are not those rocks that stand out, and yet still get clear, you get better reflections. A look at the bottom. Trust me, that's more realistic looking than the murky brown that the one without color correction did. And the trees, they look brighter. That is what it looks. It's a bluer sky. The camera is not capturing it. It's capturing that okay, but the yeah, it's not capturing the screen correctly. But trust me, when this comes up to YouTube and they will be up tomorrow, I do plan to do. I do have one place to go tomorrow, but everything is important. I will work on it. I'm being OCD about this. Um, I just want to assure you that I know it's been 43 minutes, but I want to assure you that the ski video, I mean that I am getting better with the camera, the Insta360. I just got the X3. It is going to use the same program. I know all there is to know about it. I know not to delete any of the files, especially not the two INSV, because even if their names are the same, the fact that their sizes are different, the camera, maybe the computers have an issue with it, but the camera can identify that. Well, no, even Windows 10 can identify that. Something it knows somehow that they're not that despite having the same name, they're not the same file. Maybe it is the fact that they have different file sizes, but I know not to. I know at least to not delete either of those, and that if I want there to be a preview in the Insta360 Studios, as there was when I was doing this, to keep the LRV file, which I did do for this. And I know all of this information now. And it honestly does make all the difference to know that if you do direction lock and you select direction lock for export, it will apply to all the files. So if you want to do a mix of direction lock and non-direction lock files, the direction lock files have to get exported individually, and then the non-direction lock files have to get exported on their own. That way they don't even get the direction lock option. This will. I'm glad I figured that out before deleting the files. Normal gets optical. Dive case above water when it's in the dive case gets dynamic. Chromatic calibration. I think we still got to play around with that. I think that's going to be more for again color plus on in the summer. I think it's going to be off. I seem to recall turning it off, toying with it and turning it off in the winter when everything's just kind of white. So color plus made the snow kind of blue, if I recall correctly. Probably going to want to have that off in the winter. Nothing required, nothing at all requiring a keyframe gets applied. Everything over here does, including, ironically, I still can't believe text got applied, but it did. And these two are nothings. I mean, so much to figure out, and yet I think I finally have it figured out. The fact that I did go back, the fact that I kept the clips, that I realized the mistakes, and that I did go back. See, like even then, that's another case of deep water right there. There we go again. And they're all coming out that way now. I turned off direction lock, and look, they're all coming out the same way now, where it's facing down the river as I wished. Or like even if I'm going back and forth. What I'm also thinking is I could face upriver. I'll play around with the direction lock that in the power director, or as they call it, what direction is facing. I'll have it face that way at some points. I'll face that way at some points, and that I'll all play around with in power director. All right, I get it. Jeez, calling tonight.